Hello and welcome inside the training room. I am your host, Dr. Ken Kaufman, and I am absolutely pumped to have you here where you get exclusive, behind the scenes, VIP access into the training rooms of professional sports. Welcome back inside the training room and part 3 of our 4-part series with the anti-Iceman, Gary Reinl. In this part, we have a further exploration into how using the R.I.C.E protocol is emerging as the mismanagement of soft tissue injuries.
But now, we've dealt with what causes additional damage. And that's those 3 big things: the suffocating and killing of otherwise perfectly healthy cells from the congestion, the disuse atrophy, and the Foley scarring. Now, what about regeneration? What drives regeneration? Well, clearly loading the tissue is what drives regeneration.
Yeah.
But before that, a step before that, is rebuilding the related vascular network. If you do not restore the vascular network in and around the damaged site, the tissue will not regenerate. And if it does, it'll die because there's no circulation. So you've got to rebuild the related vascular network. So how does that work? Well, that happens by loading the tissue. That causes sprouting angiogenesis. Now, there is some automatic angiogenesis going on post-trauma. The body is trying to figure it out. But you can certainly help that along by loading the tissue and increasing the pressure inside the vessels, which then causes sprouting angiogenesis and rebuilds that related vascular network. So if you think to yourself, for anyone who isn't too technical in the field, if you're too technical, just go with me for a second. I want to help everybody who's not. When you see bruising under your skin, that's broken blood vessels. That's blood. That's what that bruising is. And if there's blood leaked out, that means there's vessels that are damaged inside. So you've got to rebuild that related vascular network in and around the damaged site, and that will facilitate the process or drive the process of tissue regeneration. Now, with that said, there's one more little point in the regeneration process. And what happens is when you are still, when you do nothing. Now, for many years, I would always put this part in parentheses because I wasn't sure. Now I'm so almost sure that I think I'm sure now. But here's what happens. When you're still, myostatin levels elevate. Myostatin blocks muscle regeneration. When you activate the muscles and you do work, the myostatin levels lower, and no longer are you inhibiting muscle regeneration. So if you want to regenerate the area, you've got to rebuild the vascular network in and around the damaged site. And you've got to lower your myostatin levels. Now, here's the great news.
Right.
All 5 things, same stress. Same stress. The same thing that causes the waste to evacuate by the passive lymphatic system, simultaneously, same time, you don't have to do it twice, same time, prevents and retards disuse atrophy. Same time, reorganizes the repair tissue to prevent Foley scarring. Same time, imagine, this is incredible, rebuilds the related vascular network. Same time, lowers your myostatin levels. Now, those 5 things, I've given that talk, I've said those exact same words in university settings with really smart people standing there looking at me like, well, I've never heard those 5 things before. I said, well, which one haven't you heard? Well, I just never heard them said like that. Okay. Was any of it new to you? Well, no, not really. No, the myostatin thing I think I've heard about, but no, I knew all of that. Okay, so why are you upset then? And then they look at me like, well, and I always pause at that point and say, and I'll ask you, you're a very educated professional, and I'm being very serious when I ask this question. And I want you to answer, please. Have I said anything you didn't already know? No. So you don't have to go check with your mentors. You don't have to go read something. I haven't told you anything you didn't already know. And you say, well, so if that's true, that would make the R.I.C.E protocol wrong. Correct. Now, so here's a real clinical story. And I know that I've already shown you the proof of this. However, I have checked with this trainer. He's a doctor of physical therapy, athletic trainer with a major sports franchise, been involved for almost 30 years now in the field. And here's the actual case that occurred. We had a longitudinal quad tear. He sent me an email. He said, Gary, let me tell you what just happened. Had to play with a longitudinal quad tear, measured the blood in the quad with ultrasound. By the way, this trainer said, if you want to talk to him, I'll give you his number. You call and talk to him. I'm not going to say his name on the air. That's not fair. However, here's what happened. Longitudinal quad tear, measured the blood in the quad with ultrasound. Activate the muscles in and around the damaged site for about 6.5 hours with our medical product called H-Wave. It's an electrical stimulation device. Activate the muscles in and around the damaged site for about 6.5 hours. Following day, measured the blood in the quad with ultrasound. His word, gone. G-O-N-E, gone. Period.
Yeah.
We turned a 4 to 6 week injury into running in 3 days, playing in the World Championships in 10. Now,
that's amazing.
Now, by the way, I know why you said amazing, because that does sound amazing. He even said that.
Yeah.
And I said, it's not. And he said, no, Gary, I'm telling you, I've been doing this for 25 years at the time. It's 5 years ago. So now it's nearly 30 years.
Yeah.
He said, I've been doing this for 25 years. I'm telling you, it takes 4 to 6 weeks. I said, no, mismanaged. It takes 4 to 6 weeks. Now you know how long it actually takes if you do it right. It takes 3 days running, 10 days playing in the World Championships. So what would have happened if you followed the R.I.C.E protocol? Now, this is critically important. Please, everyone who's listening, just let me finish before you judge, okay? Here's what would have happened. If you followed the R.I.C.E protocol, they would have rested, iced, compressed, and elevated. The following day, the entire quad area would be black and blue. Swelling would be down around the kneecap. Bending the knee would practically be impossible. It would be painful, but probably not even possible at that point. Likely on crutches for at least 5 to 8 days, 10 days maybe, okay? Now, that's what would have happened. Now, why would that have happened? Well, it would have happened because the congestion would have beget congestion that would have suffocated and killed additional cells that were not involved in the initial trauma. So they begin to die. Because you're not using the limb, you would begin to have systemic diffuse atrophy. Then on top of that, any tissue that is beginning to repair would not adequately remodel, and faulty scarring would follow. Plus, using the ice causes the faulty scarring, the increased collagen around the fiber. Then on top of that, you would be doing nothing at all to rebuild the related vascular network in there. And in fact, you'd be depressing that vascular network around the damaged site. And then on top of that, your myostatin levels would elevate, which would prevent or inhibit the muscle regeneration. So that's why it takes 4 to 6 weeks. Not because you got a longitudinal quad tear. That takes 3 days running, 10 days playing the World Championships. If you mismanage it, it takes 4 to 6 weeks. So all the people out there are saying, well, I've done it for 30 years. And okay, great. What you did was caused additional damage by suffocating and killing otherwise perfectly healthy cells. You caused diffuse atrophy, systemic diffuse atrophy. You caused faulty scarring. You failed to rebuild the related vascular network in and around the damaged site. You failed to lower the myostatin levels so the muscles were inhibited and couldn't regenerate, or the muscle regeneration was inhibited. Okay? That's why it takes 4 to 6 weeks. Not because that's how long it takes. That's how long it takes when you mismanage the situation. So why does any of that matter? Here's why it matters. That individual in the semifinals of the World Championships played a significant role in the team going to the finals. That individual played in the finals. USA won the world title that year. That individual stood on the podium and got a gold medal around their neck while the national anthem was playing in the background. That individual, for the rest of their life, gets to tell the stories of competing in the world championships
Mm-hmm.
and winning a gold medal and
Right.
having it placed around their neck
Mm-hmm.
while the national anthem is playing in the background. That's why it matters. No one
Mm-hmm.
has the right to take someone else's story away. And if you mismanage that individual,
Yeah.
they not only would not have played in the semifinals and the finals, or had a medal put around, the gold medal put around their neck while the national anthem was playing in the background, they wouldn't even have gone on the trip. They would have likely stayed back in the States.
Yeah, right.
No one has a right to take someone else's story away.
Man, that is fantastic. I mean, it's a fabulous story, but it illustrates, why we need to have like these podcasts and why I'm so vocal about, kind of jumping on your bandwagon, so to speak. But, like you say, the meltdown continues. And every time I do some sort of post, I write an article or do anything that has anything to do with this, I always get a lot of positive messages with a few, well, wait a minute, what about this? And it really opens up a dialogue. And our first do no harm, and that's we need to take that to heart as practitioners to make sure that we are not doing more damage. And you illustrate beautifully how doing it the way we've done it for the last 30 years is wrong, and it's doing more damage, and it's mismanaging those particular cases. So whatever, it's amazing, all the work that you've put into this, and how it's snowballing, I think, and of course in the world of professional sports, as those protocols start to shift and change, that's going to get into the colleges and the high schools, and we'll get more of this out there. Thanks for tuning in to part 3 of my interview with the anti-Iceman, Gary Reinl. Make sure to join us for the last part, where he discusses several ideal injury recovery modalities and how they can enhance the recovery process by encouraging the natural processes of tissue repair and healing.